gentlemen, it's Daniel Umstead, host of the RNG radio show. I just keep getting more and more just amazing guests on the show. But you know my run through, I got to go through the bio. So my next guest is the co-founder and chief operating officer of the Roots investment community, investwithroots.com, a privately held Regulation A REIT, real estate investment trust, focused on residential income producing real estate investment accessible to everyone for as little, for as little as $100 to get started. Thanks to Roots' groundbreaking and innovative model, residents who rent their properties can build wealth side by side with other investors, empowering them to own while they rent, starting from the day that they move in. And none other, I have the guest, Scott Jacobsen, right here with me. Scott, how you doing today, man?
Hey, good, Daniel. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Listen, so I got to give my story because, being in real estate, I'm trying to find different ways to invest. And ladies and gentlemen, yes, your devices are hearing you because what started popping in my feed was the Invest with Roots commercials over and over again. And I'm like, all right, I got to check it out. So I went to the webinar, listened to the webinar, fell in love with Stephen Ewan, who gave just an amazing presentation. And then, thereafter, just investing in it. So that's my story. But can you deep dive further as far as why you got started, with Invest with Roots? Why did it come about?
Yeah, well, first of all, I will second that our phones are listening to us, which is why every time I'm in an Uber or out in public, I just say invest with Roots a few times so that it pops on to people's phones.
That.
But yeah, we started this concept in 2020. A very dear friend of mine and our co-founder and partner has been in real estate in Atlanta on the buy and sell side for a long time, working as an agent. He and I have been in several endeavors together, but I've also been in several real estate endeavors on my own ever since I was 18, including investing in some publicly traded REITs. Through my uncle and my father-in-law. I've always been a student in real estate investing and just something that I've always been really drawn to. So fast forward 2020, my friend and partner Daniel and I are trading Robinhood stocks because it's the pandemic and the world is shut down and we have a lot of extra time on our hand. And that had become such a trend during that time for our younger generations to, wow, we can buy a fractional share of Apple. I might not be able to afford a $300 and $400 share, but I got 20 bucks and I believe in this company. And so that was one of the seeds that planted this whole idea is what if we could make something like this where you could buy, at your comfort level, shares or a piece of real estate and invest in real estate. If you ask anybody out there, most people will tell you, if not everyone, that they would love to own some real estate investment and that in real estate investing is one of the top ways to build wealth. The problem with that is historically there's been a moat around it. It's been inaccessible for most people to get in. You either have to have 20% down to go buy an investment property yourself, which is quite a bit of money, especially with home prices are where they are now. You have to be an accredited investor in a lot of cases, which means you have to have $1 million in assets, not including your home, or some other criteria, which basically is the top 10%. So it's accessible for the wealthy to get wealthier, but there aren't a ton of opportunities out there for us regular guys and gals to get in the game. So what we found the best route to do that was to apply with the SEC, file with the SEC to become a REIT. That's an acronym, Real Estate Investment Trust. And specifically a very unique type of REIT, which is a Reg A REIT. And that is the type of REIT that allows for accredited and non-accredited investors to participate. Most privately held REITs are only open to accredited investors. That's never been our mission. It's been to make real estate investing and wealth building accessible to all. So we filed it for the Reg A. It took about 9-10 months from filing to approval. We did get the business off the ground while we were doing that and start raising from accredited investors while we were waiting for that kind of SEC approval, if you will. And as we were building this out, there were some things through our experiences and just what was going on and is still going on in the state of the economy that were really glaring to us. Home prices going way up, interest rates going way up, In Atlanta, many big cities and even smaller cities, rental inventory is going down. More people are moving to these cities, with more jobs being created in certain cities creates that type of influx. Atlanta's certainly on that list. So there's less inventory, which makes even more reason for, unfortunately, for a lot of quote unquote landlords to increase rents. So there's less property to rent and it's more expensive. Rents are up over 30% in the last 3 years, which is a problem. So it's getting harder for people to buy a house, rent a house, let alone save and invest some money towards their financial future. So for us, the first place we felt, in addition to making a real estate investment that anybody could participate in, as you mentioned at the beginning, the minimum to join our fund is $100. Of course, you can add recurring investments and reinvest your dividends and escalate the growth of that rather than just putting $100 in and letting it sit. But anyways, what we were drawn to was our residents, the people that rent from our properties. Every property we invest in is a long-term rental. These are people's homes. I've rented many times in a long time throughout my life, and it's not always a great experience. There's somewhat of a valid stigma around the tenant landlord relationship,
Yeah.
which is one-sided in a lot of cases. There is a stigma around security deposits that no matter what I do, I'm never going to get it back. Sadly, that's true in a lot of cases. I've had places that I beat up and probably didn't deserve to get it back when I was young and in college. And I've had places that I took really good care of and still got nickel and dimed and left me with a really unsettled experience. So all the things that I just mentioned, the state of the economy and the things going on. By the way, we have inflation going on and not job wages going up too. Just all of these things are adding up. Where we thought the resident was a great first place to kind of partner and help provide some upward mobility for an amazing class of people, the renting class, to grow financially. So the way our program works is, in addition to the fund, which again anyone can join, little as $100. The fund is just hit its 3-year birthday on July 1st. So 2 days ago, it turned 3 years old. And it's up.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. Thank you. It's up over 48% in those 3 years. So, it's averaging a 16% annual return. But aside from that, the other side of the coin of what we do is every renter or resident that moves into a Roots property becomes an investor the day they move in. They pay what's equivalent to a security deposit, which is typically 1 month's rent. But rather than that being a security deposit, being treated as such, and we don't call it that because it's legally not that, it gets invested into the fund in their name. So from the day they move in, their deposit is going to work for them and it's growing. Again, historically around 16% annually, just by living with us, that's what their money's doing. Then they're enrolled in a program called Living It Like You Own It. Every Roots resident is automatically enrolled in it. Whether or not they choose to participate in it is up to them. But I will say between 85 and 90% of our families do each quarter. It's evaluated quarterly. We're asking them to do 3 very simple things. One is have a zero balance at the end of the quarter. So maybe they had a late payment, but they paid up, caught up. No harm, no foul. We're not going to penalize someone as long as they're zeroed out at the end of the quarter. That's one. 2 is be a good neighbor. It's kind of arbitrary, but don't get the cops called on you. Keep the peace, things of that nature. And then the third is they just from their phone take a video walkthrough of every room of their home, a quick shot of the exterior of the home, just to show that they're taking general care of the property. We're not looking for dirty dishes. We're more so looking for overall care of the asset and engagement in the program. Of course, they should point out anything that needs to be fixed or addressed in real time, but if they don't, they can point it out in this video and there's a survey attached to it. It gives us instant feedback, how we're doing, how we can do better, anything we need to address. And when they do those 3 things, zero balance at the end of the quarter, be a good neighbor, and submit their video, they get, sometimes it's more than this, but typically speaking, $150 rebated back to them, invested into their name in the same place that initial deposit went. So every quarter they're getting a rebate. They're getting an extra $150 on top of that initial deposit, which is growing at the rate of the fund. By the way, if they earn 4 straight, we give them an extra $200 as a thank you for fully engaging. So they can earn up to $800 a year plus the interest that it grows. The idea is a resident lives with us for 3, 5, 7 years, whatever the case may be. And they're leaving with, exponentially more money than they started with so that they can move onward and upward in their life. That's their money to take with them, whether it be to go put on a down payment on a home, move to a larger rental, buy a car, or just keep invested and continue to let it grow. It's their money and it's their choice. Kind of high level, that is Roots. That's who we are and what we do and why we do it.
Before we continue on, thank you, a huge thank you, just for even starting this model. And we talk a lot about, or I should say, folks talk a lot about these gurus out here, generational wealth, read my book, take this course, but you're actually doing it. You're practicing that. And, when it does come time, the end of somebody's term, whether it be their 3, 5, 7 years, they have funds to set them up for their next step, that big next step in their journey of life. As you mentioned, whether it be their car, whether it be their bigger rental, or whether it be that home purchase. So, just thank you for that. The second thing I want to bring up before we even move forward, what's the website? Where can folks go right now? Stop the interview and go to learn more about Invest with Roots.
Investwithroots.com is our website, which you can learn a lot more about us. And you can also, through there, click Invest Now or Get Started, and it takes you to our proprietary investment platform and software where you can go on and invest for as little as $100 in about 5 minutes. So investwithroots.com, and then all of our social media pages, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, those are all at Invest with Roots as well.
Scott, love it, love it, love it. Now, because the format of the show, talk to entrepreneurs, I talk to business owners, not every day is bright and sunny as your shirt. You do have those dark days. How do you keep motivated, to continue on, during those times? Maybe the person that you're dealing with, maybe one of the tenants, they did get the cops call them, it's affecting the other neighbors. How do you stay progressive, through those dark times and, maybe ugly days?
It's a great question. Obviously there's a lot of maybe more ugly moments than ugly days. Depends on how you look at it, I guess. But I would say I could go on for a while about this, but I'll just give you 2, I think, really keys that I believe in. One is to always remember the mission and stay focused on the bigger picture of the mission, which is to help as many people as possible build wealth, and have access. And remember the good as much as, or even more so than you remember these little tough moments, because a lot of good happens in those days too. So it's easy to kind of harp on the tough one that we had to deal with, but remember the wins. That's one. And remember the mission. And number 2 is surround yourself with a good team. We have an amazing team here, starting with my 2 partners and co-founders, Daniel and Larry, but all the way across our organization. We have a team of people that believe in what we're doing, that believe in each other, that deeply care, not only about our residents and our investors, but about each other. So when we have these tough moments, we have a very open floor plan at our office. We can collaborate. We can lift each other up. We can huddle and talk about how do we solve this? It's okay. We got this. This isn't easy, but I got you and you got me. So we're going to figure this out. So I think, kind of circling back, remember the mission and remember the wins and surround yourself with good people, and the tough moments will pass and the growth will continue.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much for that, Scott. And then you talked about being right now currently Atlanta based. What does the 5-year anniversary or 5-year birthday look like for y'all, or even more so, let's say, even 5 years from now, it's 2024. What does 2029 look like with Invest with Roots?
Great question. Well, to preface my answer, I want to say one thing that I left out, which is I think I talked pretty in depth about what being a Roots resident means and how you can build wealth. But I want to add to that, for the, I guess, more capital-minded members of your audience.
Yeah.
what that means for the investor. When you have a resident who's being financially incentivized to take care of the property, they're going to do so. So you're going to have lower turnover costs when they move out because they've better protected your asset. Our data shows that they're going to renew at a higher rate and stay longer. And like I said, take better care of the place. So cost you less money when you move out. So you have a happier resident and a partnership that's turns into a more long-term relationship and has a lot of benefits to you as the investor as well. And the reason I jumped in and prefaced that now is to kind of answer your question of where we're going forward. One, we do plan to take the Roots REIT business model to other markets. We have a national property manager, so where there's the right infrastructure and the right deals, we will start to expand our acquisitions and Roots residents and everything we're doing into other markets. We don't know which ones yet. We're looking at deals across the country, probably focusing in the Southeast for now, but that's, it's all about the right property, the right infrastructure, et cetera. So that's one thing we're definitely going to be doing. The other thing we're doing is we're building a piece of software, like a SaaS, a service as a software product, where we can go to property managers and owners all over the country and offer them our Live in It Like You Own It program that can be managed through a piece of software that really doesn't interrupt their daily course of business or any of their current systems they use. But it does allow them to add that amenity to their residents of build wealth while you rent, which in turn gives them the benefits that I just mentioned to you. So it's kind of a win-win ecosystem that we are currently turning into some software. We're piloting it now on, several dozen doors so that we can really work out the kinks so that next quarter we can start to pilot it with some third parties. And that's how we think we really take this thing, far and fast and get as many residents as possible to be able to build wealth while they rent, whether they live with Roots or somebody else anywhere in the country.
Awesome. Awesome. Appreciate that, Scott. And then two questions just popped into mind, just coming with the investor cap. And one I had actually asked. So definitely just repeat it on the show. If somebody is down in Atlanta, they are an investor, they do have properties, and they're like, hey, I think my property, or, I did come across a property that could be beneficial. What's that process, look like for somebody who is an investor down in Atlanta?
Just to confirm, you mean like maybe a property that they're looking to sell or offload that might be, yeah.
Yeah. They're pretty much maybe focused in the Philadelphia market, and they're like, hey, I got this property that was inherited to me. It's 5 unit, 10 unit complex. I just want to offload it, but I want to do it via Invest with Roots. Do you guys have something where you can collaborate or work with investors on that?
Absolutely. We have honestly, the best way is just to get in touch with me directly, which is Scott@investwithroots.com. So SCOTT at investwithroots.com. We do have acquisitions at investwithroots.com, but you're looking at the receiver of that inbox. So you just email me directly. We have a ton of people doing that now, and oftentimes that works out beneficially for both parties. So we're always looking for good opportunities to buy, and we are definitely ramping up the buying right now.
Awesome. And then the other question, the naysayers. We always get it, definitely celebrities, folks who are definitely at the top, have gotten the million no's, to get them to where they just needed that one yes. What is typically your comment or advice for those who are like, what, Invest with Roots still can't be true? There's no way that the benefits that you're giving towards investors and residents still comes out to a great income. What do you say to the naysayers?
I used to be a salesperson in certain parts of my career, but I'm not anymore. And I would just show them the results, which are all posted publicly. Because we're SEC regulated, everything we do is transparent on the SEC's website. I would tell them to do their due diligence and watch and make a decision that's right for them. It's not for everybody, but it is my highest performing investment, and it's also helping others. So every dollar of mine that's invested is helping Roots buy more properties and help more renting families build wealth. So I would say make your own decision. You can find anything you want about us at investwithroots.com or on the SEC Edgar website or on the Better Business Bureau. and kind of make your own informed decision. I wouldn't pressure anybody that's a naysayer. I would just let the proof is in the pudding.
Greatly appreciate that. And I mean, just kudos to you and Steven. Even when I had my questions, both of y'all were like within 24 to 48 hours getting back to me. So I appreciate that.
I appreciate your patience with me for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. As we're wrapping up the interview, is there any question or maybe piece of advice that I didn't get to ask you or ask you to even comment or speak on before we wrap up today?
No, honestly, I think you covered it. Just looking at some notes from a previous call I was on because um, I think you covered it. At the end of the day, what we're trying to create is a win-win ecosystem where everybody benefits, and everybody is at an equal playing field. And some of the things we'll be adding to our platform and offerings would be some financial education. So whether you're a resident or an investor or both with us, when you log into your account, there will be some resources where you can learn things that some of us, myself included, didn't learn at the dinner table. What is compounding interest? What is a REIT? And have some incentive and within our program to take those courses. A lot more to add to that, but it's a growing place, kind of a one-stop shop platform / ecosystem that we're building and adding on to, which is an overall kind of wealth building stop for people. So I look forward to people seeing the evolution of that. It's already come a long way, but there's a lot more to come on it.
Awesome, incredible. Scott, I'm looking forward to the future, just being an investor myself, but definitely looking for the future of Invest with Roots and so much more. And thank you again for coming on the podcast today, man.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. This was fun.
Thank you for tuning in to the RNG Radio Show. Be sure to like and subscribe for more episodes and future content. If you'd like to learn more, visit us at danielumstead.com. Stay blessed, my fellow millionaires.